Oh,
Okay, guys, we are live. We are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gooners 101, Arsenal 101 Premier League review show. Apologies, Andy is now putting his screen right, so that funny shape is there. That's Andy's hand covering his face. I'm joined by Neil. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good. Glad the weekend's over. Well, sorry, glad the week is over and we're at the weekend now. So
Yeah, what a week
all
it's been
good.
for you, eh?
Oh, tell me about it, mate. Tell me about it.
Fantastic week of football. Andy looks like he's
Go
gone
on.
away to fix his stuff and then come back in a bit later.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you know, my two favourite sports are boxing and football, and I've been salivating in both sports of late. You know, we've had great fights, we've had great boxing matches. I'm really enjoying sport as it goes at the moment in a big way.
Clearly, you're not talking about the Fury fight because that wasn't a great one at all.
Well, you know what? It may not have been a great fight, but it was a huge spectacle. It was an event that was much anticipated, and even though it didn't go the way I hoped it would go, you know, I could see the way Fury was going to win. I predicted the way he would win, but I also saw the way White could win, and I predicted the way he could win. But yeah, you know what? It's about having those kind of battles where you don't see, you know, people not fighting the best, you know.
Yeah.
So it was a legitimate number one fighting a legitimate number one mandatory, as opposed to some guy ranked number 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, if I walked into the wrong podcast.
No, you're in the right place, man.
Premier League football.
I'm just keeping it going.
I'm only
while you're
winding.
fixing at your camera.
I'm winding you up. I'm winding you up.
Good man. How are you, Andy? How's your week been?
I'm good. Not been fun. Did you want Dillian White to win then, Tone?
I did, yeah, because he's a friend of mine.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you know, I do a boxing podcast, and me and my mate, we chopped the fight up, and then we flipped a coin, and I got Tyson Fury, so I had to give the reasons Tyson Fury would win, and I did that, and it pretty much went the way I said it.
Because he's the best boxer, that's why.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, at the moment he is the best boxer at the moment, in a very weak heavyweight division.
Do you think he'll fight again?
Yes.
So do I.
Sure. So yeah, back to the football. We digress. It's just been saying to Neil, it's been an absolutely amazing set of weeks of football. The Champions League in the last 2 weeks has been nothing but phenomenal. But we'll get on to that. We'll start off though with last week's review of the football in the Premier League. This time last week, was there a Friday game that we were looking at?
No, I don't think there was one Friday.
I'm just pulling up the fixtures, so give me a second. Apollo normally puts them on the screen for me, so he's not doing his job very well today. I'll have to get some new staff in.
A little slap on the wrist for Apollo.
Last week.
So last week was Championship football, no Premier League. So Saturday action kicked off in the morning with Newcastle at home to Liverpool. So without any further delay, I mean, you know, Newcastle are clearly resurgent at the moment. They're doing really good things. They're getting some really good results. But this looks like Newcastle have an opportunity to take advantage of a team who are going to play some of their reserves. I don't want to say reserves because Liverpool's second string lineup are as good in some ways as most other teams' first team lineup.
It's starting to look a bit like City now.
But you know, clearly, I was having this debate yesterday with Bertram, funny enough, about Liverpool's 6 strikers. But Neil, over to you, buddy. Talk to us about this 1-0 win.
I was actually as much as obviously I wanted Liverpool to win, I wanted them to cream them, to be honest. The fact that we walked away with just a single goal, a little bit disappointing, but at the time, I suppose it's more about the 3 points. How you get them, how many goals you score is irrelevant as long as you get the 3 points in the end. So yeah, it was a pretty good game. I mean, Newcastle. It's not like Newcastle came and lay down. They gave as good as they got. It was it was a pretty close game in my view, but it shouldn't have been a pretty close game because, as I said, I wanted Liverpool to cream them.
Andy, what did you think of the game?
It wasn't a great game, to be fair.
No.
It was okay. You know, Liverpool weren't anywhere near their best. It could have been a draw, but Liverpool, you know, if you look at the stats, probably Liverpool just deserved to shade it, I guess. But it wasn't a vintage Liverpool performance. It could easily have not been 1-0 to Liverpool. But they got the job done, and that's what title challengers do. I'm not saying Liverpool are going to win the title, but that, you know, the teams that are going for the title win games like that 1-0. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's what Liverpool did what they had to do.
Absolutely.
They did what United was doing when United were running things. They would win ugly. There's plenty of games that they shouldn't have won. And, you know, I can say the same with City, I can say same with Liverpool, same with Chelsea this season. There are games that they shouldn't have won, but they've just won ugly. So, and that was one of those games, to be honest.
Yeah. I got a bit of a quiz question for you, Neil. And Andy, I'm sure you might also know the answer. When was the last time Liverpool didn't have a goal from one of their front three?
The last time was actually Saturday.
No, before that.
Oh, before that?
Yeah, before that. That was my point, is that basically I was surprised that Diaz, Jota, Mane, not one of them scored a goal.
Yeah. You know, I can't actually think one game where one of the six hasn't been involved in the goal.
And then Salah comes on at 69 minutes, so you kind of like, well, surely one of them's going to score a goal.
And they didn't. It was Keita in the end.
Yeah,
but Jota did get the assist.
Okay.
So he was kind of involved. He didn't score, but he got the assist. So
yeah,
which is good news. But yeah, as I said, it wasn't the best game out there. As I said, I wanted Liverpool to kind of cream them, and they didn't. So I was a little bit disappointed at the end of the game. But 3 points is 3 points, right?
You got to look at Liverpool. They've got 3 of the top 5 goal scorers in the league and 3 of the top 5 assisters in the league. So I mean, you know, it's
yeah, but it's still not enough, though, is it? We're still in second place.
True.
Yeah, True. That's what I'm saying. When you look at those sort of stats, they sound really good. And if Liverpool were, you know, top, you say, all right, fair enough. But they're not. So that says a lot, doesn't it? It does actually say a lot.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot about how good Manchester City are.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. It just says a lot. I mean, if we're kicking out stats like that with what our players are doing, and the team's still not top, it says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says a lot about the competition.
I mean, the goal difference between the two teams is like 1 goal, so it's just like,
City brought that back last week, didn't they?
Yeah, for sure. So there's like literally 1 goal between you.
Exactly.
Interesting. We'll talk about the running a little bit later. So let's roll through these the rest of the fixtures for the weekend and then get through to this week's fixtures. As the 3 o'clock kickoffs, let's start alphabetically. Aston Villa 2, Norwich 0. Not a lot to say about that. Ollie Watkins, Danny Ings. I mean, finally Ings gets a goal.
It's been a while since he scored his last goal, isn't it?
Relegated
Norwich, yeah. I mean, Danny Ings. I mean, it's you know, at the start of the season, that looked like a great bit of business. Obviously, he's had his injury problems. I mean, Aston Villa, you kind of look at them and think, well, do they push on next season? And if they are, can they rely on Watkins and Ings to be the guys, or do they have to start looking elsewhere? What's your thoughts, guys?
They have to start looking elsewhere. To be honest, I mean, as much as I like Ings, especially when he was injured for Liverpool, because that's what he was basically. Wherever he's gone, he still spent quite a bit of time being injured, and it's just a tough break the guy's had throughout his career. If it weren't for those injuries, you know, he'd be one of the top goal scorers in my view.
Well,
Definitely.
one of the problems with once you get a couple of big injuries in your career, you often find, though, you know, if they're bad injuries, which Ings has had, you often find that they spend the rest of their time playing 3 months here, 2 months here, then another injury. That you often find once someone's had a bad injury that they often pick up other silly injuries regularly. And Ings has suffered from that because there's no doubt Ings is a quality player, but he's. I said in the podcast last year that the problem you have with Ings is that he's never going to play enough games in the season, probably, to make it worth the investment.
Yeah. And
He
so
is
it
a
looks to
decent player.
be the case. So the next game we'll review, Southampton at home to Crystal Palace. Score was Southampton 1, Crystal Palace 2. After a couple of weeks of problems at Palace, they finally get a win. A goal
Zaha
from Zaha to get that win. Any comments on that one? That was a bit of a nothing game for me.
Yeah, same here as well. I mean, I kind of watched it. Because
Zaha got a last-minute winner, didn't he?
Yeah.
Last minute.
Yeah. I kind of watched it, but to be honest, I wasn't like, it didn't set me alight. I didn't think, this looks like a good game. It was just a bit of an ordinary game, really. Yeah, a bit of a nothing game. Really.
I mean, the one player there's been rumour this week, and I don't know where it comes from, and I do believe it's just tittle tattle that you get around clubs all the time. That Arsenal are willing to offload Pepe to bring Zaha in. And so the question has been floating around Arsenal-related social media about, would you take Zaha for Pepe? And I'm like, no. I mean, Zaha is a good player, but to me, he's had his time. I'd rather keep Pepe, is the honest answer. But I just don't honestly think Pepe gets another look in at Arsenal next season. There's something clearly wrong between him and Arteta.
Are you telling me, Tony, you think Pepe's better than Zaha?
Yeah. Look at his goal return internationally. Yeah, when they both play in the same team. Yeah, and look at his goal return. He's had 2 seasons in the Premier League. Both seasons, he's outscored him, out-assisted him. Now, I know he's not playing in the same team. I mean, Zaha has his work cut out to score goals and assists in that team. Yeah?
He hasn't scored in this season, has he?
Pepe hasn't.
Pepe
hasn't played, which is why I've made the point. Pepe, for me, is gone. He's finished.
Yeah, but if he can't get in his team...
He could get in his team.
I don't see how you can argue that you'd rather have Pepe and Zaha. I mean, Zaha's proven in the Premier League over years.
This is how I'd equate it to. Imagine you've got Harry Kane in your team, yeah? But your manager chooses not to play him. Yeah.
But the point is, if you're that good,
you have a choice.
If you're that good, your manager doesn't leave you out.
Right. So this is the point. Pepe is that good, yeah? But
so you're telling me that Arteta doesn't know what he's doing? Are you telling me Arteta doesn't know what he's doing?
Well, I'm telling you, Arteta chooses to leave out a player whose stats are better than players on the pitch. Tell me what's wrong there, Andy.
But as I've said to you many times before, stats in football are not everything.
But hang on, is the game not about scoring goals?
Well, it is to some extent.
So what you're telling me is
who are you scoring the goals against?
I should forget that Ronaldo scores all the goals for Man United and say, oh, but he's a crap player.
Yeah, but Pepe hasn't scored.
He will score you goals because his goals per minute are higher than all the other players.
Yeah, but that don't work if you've only played 5 minutes.
Okay, you're clearly not getting what I'm trying to say.
I do understand what you're saying, Tone, but you have to live in the real world as well. You
Right.
need to be playing. You need to be playing a certain amount of football in
So,
order for stats to actually be any meaningful. Someone that's played 7 games, or has come on a sub 17 times or whatever.
mhm.
You can't
He's not going to have
compare
the minutes.
that with someone that's made 30 starts.
Okay. So you're telling me I should, if you're Tottenham and you have to have one of those 2 players next season, which one you picking?
Zaha all day long.
Okay. Based on what?
Based on his record in the Premier League over many years.
Okay. His record in the Premier League over many years is not great.
But he is effective in the Premier League for some time. And he's been playing for Crystal Palace. What might he do? What might he do if he was playing for a better team?
Right. Well, he's more consistent.
What like when he was at Man United,
team that's 4th in the league.
What like when he was at Man United, Andy? What did he do at Man United, Andy?
He was a baby.
Oh, now we're gonna say, oh, it's his age. You see how you're pulling strings to suit your argument, but it makes no sense. Michael Owen was a baby, and he was bagging in 25 goals a season.
No, I'm not saying, but he was a baby at the biggest club, arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world. Certainly one of the biggest 2-3 clubs in the world.
So what? Beckham wasn't, Butt wasn't,
yeah,
Scholes wasn't.
I'm not saying Zaha. I'm not saying Zaha's better than all those players. I'm saying Zaha's better than Pepe. It's a different argument.
Okay, well, stats don't prove that, Andy, because Pepe's stats per minute, per game, in 2 seasons, eclipse anything Zaha's ever done.
What stats are you talking about, Tony?
Goals and assists per season. Goals and assists per game. Goals and assists per minute.
Tell me who Pepe. Don't talk to me about Europa rubbish.
No.
Tell me who Pepe has scored against in the Premier League.
What?
Who has Pepe scored against in the Premier League? Has he scored against Liverpool?
Last year.
Has he scored against Liverpool? Has he scored against Man City? Has he scored against Spurs? Has he scored against Man United? Has he scored against West Ham?
Okay, I'm not going to answer that question, but I'm going to tell you this. Do you want me to pull up figures for who scored more Premier League goals last season?
No, Tony, because I've said to you before, you can make stats tell you.
Right. Goals is goals, Andy. Yeah?
Yeah, so, but who are the... You need to ask yourself, who are the goals against?
Premier League goals, Andy.
Who are the goals against? Norwich? Burnley? You've got to look at these things.
And who does Zaha score against?
Zaha scored against most of the top sides.
Has he?
At some point. I can certainly...
At some point in his career.
I can recall Zaha scoring against Liverpool. I can recall Zaha scoring against Spurs. He scored against Arsenal.
You're the man in the middle, Neil. What you saying?
Am I saying as in comparing Zaha to Pepe?
My point is Zaha's not the greatest player in the world. And if we could be having a different conversation, if I was comparing him with, say, Heung-min Son, Zaha wouldn't get a look in. But I'm just saying against Pepe, based on what they've both achieved in the Premier League, I would choose Zaha. That's my own personal opinion.
Yeah, my view would be, I'm not really a stats man. I like to see a player actually get games and see what he actually does within the game. So I can't compare the two because
Pepe has played games and hasn't achieved very much for Arsenal, in my opinion.
Do you know what? My view is neither of them have. I mean, neither of them been great. I mean, Zaha could be a better player if he was, give better return stats if he was playing for a bigger side. Unfortunately, he's not, and that's the way it goes. The thing with Pepe, I have thought about why he's not being played, but then I'm not an Arsenal fan, so it doesn't bother me either way. If you understand what I'm saying, but there are reasons, and they are both good players.
This season, Zaha's playing for Crystal Palace, and he's in the top 10 scorers in the Premier League. Well, that's not bad going.
No, it's good going. It's good going.
How many has he scored?
12, I think. 12 or 13.
Okay.
But he's probably had quite a few more games than Pepe, right?
Oh, way
I'm
more.
sure he's played more. He's
Way
played way more than Pepe. Yeah,
Way
Pepe's
more.
hardly played.
Exactly.
Pepe's
So
played
that's kind
about
of
5 games all season.
right. So it's difficult to compare the two players together because you're not seeing enough of one.
I agree with that point.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if based on what they've actually achieved in the Premier League, I don't see how you choose Pepe over Zaha. Now, if Pepe spends a year in the Premier League and gets 15 goals next season, it's a different argument. But based on what they've actually done in the Premier League, surely you would choose Zaha. I would anyway. Sorry.
From an experience point of view, and yeah, if you're talking about going back a few years, I would choose Zaha as well because I know more about him and I've seen what he's actually done compared to Pepe. But as I said, I
He
haven't seen
also
enough.
does a lot of assisting as well, Zaha.
Yeah, but for me personally, I haven't seen enough of Pepe because he doesn't get enough goals. So I can't comment on who's actually better than the other because you're comparing apples to oranges basically, even though they're both in the same greengrocer, right?
What I will say is that was a really good £72 million investment by Arsenal Football Club.
Thank you, pal.
He had to get the digging. Had to get the digging.
Look, water off a duck's back.
Almost as good as Ndombele for Spurs, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, next one. Watford at home to Burnley. Watford 1, Burnley 2. So Burnley pulled away from the bottom 3 with another win, which we all talked about and we all expected. The resurgence of Burnley to be able to take them away from that bottom 3 and put Everton and Leeds into the predicament. So good win there. Anything about that one? Anything you guys want to say?
Who did they play against?
Watford.
Oh, they won 3-0 or something.
No, 2-1.
2-1.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They were 1-0 down and they scored 2 late goals, didn't they?
Yeah, they scored all 3 goals
I
because
remember,
Watford's goal was the young goal by Tarkowski.
Yeah, the only thing I mean, the game was it was an okay game. The fact that Burnley seems to be on a resurgence at the moment is not surprising. The teams at the bottom are always the worst teams to play, especially when they're fighting for survival. My question is, who's going down with Norwich? That's the question.
Watford most definitely are in my estimation.
Watford. You might as well say that they're practically relegated.
Yeah.
Mathematically, they can still make it, but chances are very, very, very.
They'll be down this weekend.
Yeah,
they'll be down this weekend.
Yeah. So
and then it's out of Leeds, Everton, and Burnley.
Right. Well, hopefully Leeds will do themselves a favour by beating Arsenal on Sunday.
Well, the thing is, Everton have a even though I don't like games in hand, they have a game in hand. So that's 3 points they could win to kind of get them out of that predicament. And that's the only thing they have going for them at this moment in time.
Well, the thing about Everton, if they show the level of fight that they have done against Chelsea and Man United, they'll be okay. Yeah, I think.
Chelsea laid down, didn't they? Chelsea laid down for Frank Lampard, didn't they?
Yeah, but they like they did for Arsenal as well. But the problem Everton have is they often don't play as well against the weaker sides. They seem to be able to raise their performance level when they play the tougher sides. But they need to start getting some results against weaker sides as well.
They haven't got many games left to do that.
Yeah.
No, but if they would, what's mad is if you look at the points tallies now, they're around Everton on 32 and Leeds and Burnley on 34.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, if you go back like 4 or 5 weeks, people were talking about mid-30s will be enough to stay up. You're now probably looking at potentially a 40-point, needing the 40 points to get safe.
Yeah. Well, the target is always over the seasons. The target's always been around about the 40-point mark. It's just that when you look at the past few seasons, that's been a high number compared to some. When you look at the teams,
you've only got to go back a month, and some those teams were down languishing around 19, 20, 21 points. Nobody was thinking that they were going to get to like the mid-30s, high 30s And yet all of a sudden, the three of them are in the 30s, and they've still got 4 or 5 games left.
Yeah, exactly. That's why when you look at it, the 40-point mark is correct. As in, like, if you can get 40 points, you're most likely going to be safe. But yeah, as you said,
I'm looking at it now. I mean, if Leeds and Burnley need 2 wins to get to 40, Everton would need 3, but they've got an extra game to do it.
Do any of them play each other?
Well, the big one is Leeds play last game of the season. I'm pretty sure. I think if you look at the fixtures, that could be a huge game in last day.
Yeah, could be. We'll just have to see what they do for the next few weeks.
Given that the missus and the father-in-law are Leeds, then I'm firmly in the Leeds camp.
By choice, yeah?
Well, just it helps to keep the wife happy.
Yeah.
Right, so on to the next game, which was again a sort of middle of the road game. Wolves 0, Brighton 3. You know, Wolves have completely capitulated. You know, they looked like they were potentially pressing for a European place, but of late have just literally fallen apart at the seams. And they've let everybody start beating them. So there wasn't much surprise in this, although you kind of think, you know, on their day, Wolves are able to give any team a very difficult game. So this is surprising that they're losing this badly at home. Goals from McAllister, Trossard, and Bissouma.
They've had some players missing out. They're struggling to score goals still.
Yeah. I mean, anything else anyone want to say about that game? Because again, nothing game.
I still think they've got a good record against City, Wolves, and they play City, I think, midweek next week.
Yeah,
that could be interesting. I think maybe Liverpool fans are looking at that game and keeping their fingers crossed. Maybe.
Listen, I'll keep my fingers crossed against every game again.
Particularly after Spurs roll them over at Anfield tomorrow.
Oh,
he started already.
I've got my fingers crossed, boys.
To be honest, that is the one game I am actually worried about at this moment in time. To be honest, it's it could go like it did like last season. You know, where Liverpool, you know, they had this.
It depends. It depends if you're feeling any comeback from the other night. If your boys are fresh and at it, you'll beat us. But if for any reason your guys aren't at it, then we'll have a chance. We'll see. We'll see what Liverpool turns up.
I would say it depends on which LFC turns up, because if it's the LFC of the first half in the Champions League game, you lot will roll over us, man. You roll over us. I mean, those 2 goals that we conceded, oh my, that was terrible. That was 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Come on, man. Yeah.
Liverpool were they were in second gear. They had 3 more gears to go up, and all they did was go, okay, half time. We've been playing that second gear. Let's bring on some new legs and let's play at our 4th and 5th gear. End of. Game over.
Yeah, but the thing is,
you worry too much, Neil.
No, I'm not that I'm worried. I'm just saying that they can't play like that against Spurs. They cannot play like that against Spurs.
You've got one saving grace, and basically the problem Spurs have, and it's been noticeable since Doherty and Reguilon both got injured, is that Emerson Royal has been almost the worst signing of the season. He is just shocking. And Sessegnon is struggling, recovering from his injury. He's trying to feel his way back, and he's not in any kind of form. So, and the problem with Conte's system, it relies heavily on wing backs. You know, the 3-5-2 system relies on those wing backs. Chelsea have got Reece James and Chilwell or Alonso on the left hand side. Liverpool have got Trent and Andy Robertson. City have got Walker and Cancelo. I mean, these guys are proper fullbacks. They can play wing back. You know, whereas Spurs, I mean, literally everything breaks down on Emerson and out wide on Sessegnon. Or to be honest, Reguilon hasn't been that great. He has the occasional good game, but we have a big problem in that position. because that position is important in that setup, and we are really struggling with it at the moment. And I think you will win tomorrow for that reason, because I don't think we won't retain possession well enough to stop you. But you know, when you've got Kane and Son and Kulusevski, they are capable of scoring goals if they get chances. And so we're just like we were at City when we beat them 3-2, when no one expected it. No one expected that. Sometimes we end up performing well when people aren't expecting it. But you know, I would say nobody.
I would expect you lot to lie down tomorrow.
Nobody looking at it logically could predict anything other than the Liverpool win tomorrow night.
So I don't know how us talking about Wolves against Brighton ended up in a conversation about Liverpool and Spurs. But
now you know the rest of us feel we always manage to get onto Arsenal.
Anyway, just to finish
let's go to the next game. Let's go to the next game.
I just wanted to have a word about those two teams because they're mid-table teams and they got one or two players that you might sniff around in the summer. Boys, any players in those two teams that you might think,
Apparently Spurs are interested in Cucurella at Brighton and also potentially Lamptey, although I don't think that will happen because I think they'll want too much money for Levy won't pay it. But
does Levy not have to get his hand in his pocket this summer? Because if you don't make Champions League, it's almost essential because of the price of your stadium.
I think the weird thing about it is that if we don't make Champions League, I don't see him spending fortunes, even though that's probably what will desperately be needed. Whereas if we do make Champions League, I think you will see Levy spend money because he will have to.
Okay. But, I know Arsenal have been talking about Ruben Neves, who I personally think would be a great upgrade on Granit
Neves would be a great signing for anyone. I think United are interested in Neves as well.
Yeah, but you know what? United are what? Where are they?
Oh yeah, no, I know.
So you know what I mean? If you got a chance, if you got an option between Champions League and Europa League, then that might be the difference.
Absolutely. The question is, are you going to be in the Champions League, Tony?
We could be, my friend. And according to my prediction from yesterday's talk, I think we will be.
Okay.
Because I think our friends over there.
Are you still going to wear? Are you still going to wear? Are you going to still wear a Spurs shirt on the last podcast of the season when we get full?
Oh, dear.
I think close. Right now it's close.
The problem, Andy, is I see us playing each other when we got 5 point. We got 5 point gap.
Okay.
And then it doesn't matter if you beat us because our last game is at home to Everton.
Yes.
We always beat Everton.
Okay, but Everton might need something to stay up.
Yeah, it's true. You know, as I said, the bottom teams at the moment, for me personally, are the worst teams to play at this time of the season when they're fighting. You know, nobody wants to play in the Championship. I'd love to see Everton in the Championship, but are they gonna end up there? It's really close at the moment. Really close. And I've got a guy that I work with who's an Everton fan.
I could see Liverpool beating Spurs tomorrow and Arsenal rubbing their hands with glee. And then Leeds getting something at Arsenal on Sunday, and then all of a sudden, say you were to draw with Leeds, it would only be 3 points, and then we would beat you. We'd go above you on goal difference.
Yes, all very possible. All very possible.
Stats. You guys are quoting stats again, yeah?
Yeah, he is. He's gone back into his stat book again. Right, moving back into the league last Saturday. The last game on the Saturday was Leeds at home. They got thumped by Man City. Not really much I can say about that. That was a proper drubbing, and could have been worse.
Well, Leeds have been drubbed. Well, Arsenal got 4 at Leeds. Spurs got 4 at Leeds. City have got 4 at Leeds. I mean, everyone's given Leeds a drubbing this season.
Yeah, but the most surprising thing about the game last week is Nathan Ake scored. Yeah, that says a lot.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
I think Leeds, I've got a lot of sympathy with Leeds. They've just been hammered with injuries this season. I mean, now Dallas Dallas, who's a big player for Leeds, he's injured now as well, and they've just suffered so badly. And Key, I mean, Phillips was out for months. Bamford's been out for months.
Yeah.
You know, Cooper was out for a long time. Now Dallas, Rafinha missed a few games. You know, they've just literally had their best players injured for a large part of the season, and it's been really tough for them. And they're still fighting.
Yeah.
They're still in there fighting.
Anyway, moving on to Sunday's game, Everton won 1-0 at home to Chelsea in what was
that was a sympathy game, man. That was a Chelsea was sympathetic towards their old mate Frank Lampard. Yeah. Because Everton can't beat anyone at this moment in time, and yet they can beat the team that's in third position. Come on, man.
Wait.
Come on.
We gave them their first jump start because we let.
And remember what I said to you guys, right? About somebody taking third position. Chelsea are only 3 points ahead of you guys now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Chelsea have got like Watford and Leeds, and still they've only got to win a couple of games to guarantee third spot.
No, yeah, you're right. They've got to win, but right at this moment in time, those games have not been won. We don't know what the results of those games. We're assuming Chelsea will win those games, but that's not guaranteed right now.
Can you see Watford beating Chelsea, Neil?
Do you know what? No, I can't. But it doesn't mean that they can't, and it doesn't mean that they won't. Yeah, what I see and what I think isn't necessarily going to be the result of the actual game, and that's what we have to remember as well. And that's the good thing about the Premiership. Yeah, any team can beat any team on any given day, irrespective of where they are in the league.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And we've seen that happen. We've seen that happen a lot. Yeah, going back to the beginning of the league, who thought that Arsenal were going to get done by Brentford?
I did.
Yeah, well, you're a Spurs fan, so you're hoping every team does them. But realistically, nobody expected that. And as I said, any team can beat any team on any given day, irrespective of where they are. Yeah, because on paper, Brentford shouldn't have stood a chance, and yet they took 2 points of Liverpool as well.
Yeah. And
so any team can take any points off any team.
And Tottenham.
Yeah.
There you go. You see.
So let's move on to Tottenham. Tottenham's game at home to Leicester. 3-1 win. Looks a bit of a breeze. Leicester obviously had more important fish to fry on Thursday night. So I totally expected this because I didn't expect Leicester to put out a full team, knowing that they were on the precipice of losing that Europa Conference game. So that wasn't anything unexpected. Andy, any comments on that one?
Yeah, I mean, actually, if you watch the first half, Leicester were the better team in the first half. They actually could have easily gone ahead a couple of times in the match, in which case it might have been a very different match. But once we got ahead, they never really looked like they were going to come back. But they could have easily gone ahead in that game, in which case it would have been a much more difficult afternoon. But Son was in really good form, and I mean his third goal was just out of this world. You know, top corner with his left peg. 35 yards. It was a fantastic goal. But yeah, I mean, look, Spurs were comfortable, and we could have had more than we got as well. You know, once we were 1-2-0 up, then you know the players play with more freedom because then they're not under pressure and worried about conceding and that sort of thing. And we hadn't scored for a couple of games, so scoring a goal was, you know, you could see the lift it gave the team. You know, and they suddenly looked a bit freer again. So you know, we got the job done. It wasn't sensational, but we got the job done. We did.
Cool. We'll move on to West Ham versus Arsenal then. So, West Ham 1, Arsenal 2. To be honest, some shocking defending.
Some shocking refereeing.
West Ham's goal. I mean, when we talk about shocking refereeing, it's the usual. What goes around comes around. What you get in one game, you lose in another game. So yeah, we got fortunate with a decision, but I've seen it go the other way in other games and we've lost. And it's like, you know what? bugger it. Take your luck when you can. I don't know what Ramsdale was thinking. I really don't.
He didn't need to be out there.
He doesn't need to be out there. There's defenders covering, so he doesn't need to be there. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But, you know, we got away with it and we move on.
That's what it was.
Yeah, we move on. So that moves us on to Monday Night Football. Man United win 3-0 at home to Brentford. Goals from Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Rafael Varane.
Is that his first goal for the team? Varane.
I think he scored another. I think it's his second.
What,
yes, there was. In answer to that question, yes, there was contact.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
There was enough contact for him to go down.
Let's not go there. Right, so Man United against Brentford. Anyone want to chirp in on that one? The Ronaldo show carries on.
Do you know, I don't have that much to say. I mean, yeah, he's proven he's worth a lot more to United than anyone else. Well, no one else is stepping up. When you look at their other forwards, or strikers, whatever you want to call them, who is stepping up? Who is stepping up? And that's part of United's issues at the moment. Is if Ronaldo wasn't there, where would they be right now? A lot further down the league.
I mean, the score line flattered to deceive because Brentford actually had more shots than Man United in the game. It wasn't a one-sided game at all.
No, Brentford played well, and you know they've done all season. You know, the majority of the games they've looked pretty good. They looked a solid outfit. I was hoping that Eriksen was going to actually bag a goal, at least one goal in that game as well, because he's one player who he seems to have. He makes them that much better.
Yeah.
You know, he makes them that much better, and I can't see him there next season. To be honest, someone's going to come in for him.
I think Eriksen might stay at Brentford. You know.
What? Maybe that might be his decision.
Because you got to look at a few things, right? I know Spurs have been sniffing around in one or two other clubs, but I'm not completely convinced that Conte wants him. Because he didn't play all the time for Conte at Inter. He did eventually get more of a run in the team, and he obviously did have some impact in them winning the league. But he wasn't a regular for Conte, certainly at the beginning. And the one thing Eriksen wants is to play at the World Cup with Denmark, which means he is going to want to play in a team where he is guaranteed to be playing in the run-up to the World Cup. If he comes to Spurs and Conte builds over the summer, there's going to be no guarantee that he's going to start every week for Spurs. And I think he might think, do you know what? I'm better off staying at Brentford, playing every week. If I do well at the World Cup, someone will come in for me in January after the World Cup.
I think someone there'll be bids for him. Whether he leaves Brentford or not, we'll have to see. But there'll be bids for him in the summer window.
Okay, let me move on. I just want to mention the 77-minute fiasco at Man United. I don't know too much about it. Does anyone else know much about the Glazers out protest?
It didn't actually happen, did it? It didn't actually happen because
I think some people did leave, but not enough.
Not enough though.
To make it.
That's what I'm saying. The whole point is that during the game, the commentators were mentioning, and even before the game, they said that is it the 77-minute because it represents the years that the Glazers have been at United, and they were going to step out. A whole load of fans were just going to vacate the game. Yeah, so I expected this mass exodus. Yeah, and do you know what? It probably would have happened if it was 0-0. Yeah, or if United were losing, they would have done it. But fans are fans, right? No one wants to miss their team winning. Yeah, so to me, I don't think it was that important to them, realistically. You know,
I mean, there certainly was a lot of green and yellow, which is the colours that the Glazer out campaign have taken on as their
how many of those wearing red and yellow left at that time? Not many.
Andy, have you got any insight on that?
On the Glazers?
The Glazer thing, the protest by the fans?
Well, the fans want Glazers out, but I can't see it making any difference. The Glazers will do whatever the Glazers want to do because they're in control of the situation. Exactly. I don't see fan protests getting rid of the Glazers.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes it happen is if they stop going to the games. If they stop turning up and they stop buying the merchandise, and they get hit heavy in the pocket, and I'm not just talking about like a couple of million quid. I'm talking about losing tens of millions. Then it might work. But unless the fans are prepared to literally boycott the club and all the merchandise, the Glazers won't lose in the pocket.
Yeah, I mean the thing that you always have to bear in mind in saying that is that most of the ground is sold to season ticket holders.
Yeah.
Yeah, which means the stadium can be empty. Yeah, but the seat is sold.
Yeah.
Anyway, we move on.
Which means, that's what I mean. It means that they're not losing that much money.
Not at all. So then came Tuesday night. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you've alluded to this already, Neil. Liverpool just didn't turn up for the first half.
No,
and
they were still on the coach, man. That first half, they were still on the coach. Yeah, they got there. Second half is when they decided to come off the coach and go.
Yeah, I mean, it's another game where you go, wow, football is a very entertaining thing because you get a 5-goal thriller, which Liverpool win away from home, and it's got all the spectacle. You're 2-0 down, and it's all of a sudden it's 2-2, and you suddenly think, oh no, the wheels have come off the bus. Villarreal are on the up, and then as soon as you turn around in the second half, he brings on a couple of subs, and boom, 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 you're back in the game, and you're running the show again.
Yeah, I mean, the saying of it's a game of two halves. It literally was for Liverpool a game of two halves,
isn't it?
It's 4 quarters. Yeah. 4 quarters. I mean, to be honest, as much as I didn't like going down 2-0, and it brought that thing back to the game that it's not one-sided. It's not going to be a walk in the park. Yeah, for the non-Liverpool fan or non-Villarreal fan, that was a great spectacle, because before the game, everybody was saying, yeah, Liverpool are going to walk it, and that's that. Yeah, when it was 2-2 on aggregate, that's when the game actually kind of lit up from both sides. And Villarreal, I mean, they did well. I mean, they did really well. It's amazing they don't play like that in the Liga week in, week out, to be honest.
But Unai Emery is a cup. He's a cup specialist, so
yeah,
he's got previous history on that. So
exactly. And
got us to the European Cup final and did nothing in the league.
Yeah,
it was interesting to see Arsene Wenger came out this week and said Unai Emery wasn't given enough time at Arsenal, and I agree with him because his record wasn't that bad until that last 10 games of the season, at which point he was so concentrating all his efforts on getting us into the European final. And obviously he did it magnificently as well, because I was at the Mestalla when we beat Valencia. The final was just surreal. It was just surreal.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, isn't it? That's the thing, is that if the managers are always the first ones to go, irrespective of what's happening within the team. I mean, if the team don't show up, you know, the manager will always pick the best players, available players to him, right? As long as they're not injured, etc., etc. If those
Unless it's
players are
Arteta
picked and
picking
don't
Pepe.
turn up, yeah. But I mean, if those players are picked but they don't turn up on the pitch, who's actually to blame? The easiest thing to do is blame the manager, blame his tactics, right?
Yeah.
But obviously during training and stuff, the players are proving to him, look how well I'm doing. I deserve a start. And they all do that. And then obviously when you look at the games previous to those training sessions as well, you know, most managers pick the best side available. Sometimes
you say that
on the pitch.
You say that, but
I said most managers.
Tony's going to tell you that Pepe's the best player in the world again.
With Pep Guardiola, I think he made a serious balls up.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
I presume we're going to come on to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So I won't say any more on that until we come on to it.
Well,
but,
we're there.
Oh,
so
okay,
unless you've got anything else to say about your game against Villarreal, just again, you know, a very entertaining game of football. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we move on to Wednesday night, and what a game! What a game! Yeah, I mean, let's talk about those changes that Pep decided I'm going to make.
I was screaming at the television. I was like, "What are you doing, man?"
You
honestly, as he was doing it, I could see. I was like, "What are you doing? You don't need." My dad. I say this. My dad was a football coach, manager, and he always used to say, "If you are winning, why make unforced substitutions when you are winning?"
Yeah, but that shows his attitude towards that particular game. At that time he thought, you know, we've won.
Literally, Neil, if you
don't think that,
if you watch that, I've actually watched that game back because I was like, did I miss something? Did I not see something?
Come on,
City were in complete and utter control of that football match. Around the 80-minute mark, they were in complete and utter control. There was no sign of any kind of Real Madrid revival or anything like that. City were controlling the football, 70 or 75 minutes, whatever it was. They were in controlling the game. De Bruyne, Mahrez, Jesus were all on the pitch. He chose to replace. He had to replace Walker. Got no issue with that substitution. That was enforced. That's fine. He chose to replace De Bruyne. Gundogan's a very tidy player. I don't have a big problem with it, although you do lose something in an attacking vein when you remove De Bruyne. But bring it, and I'm not saying the players they brought on, they're not good players. Grealish is a good player. But the point was that by taking off Mahrez and Jesus and De Bruyne, your real threats are going forward and bringing on the likes of Fernandinho. And I'm telling you, the only reason he brought Fernandinho onto that pitch was to give him a game.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he did it.
Yeah, but he was...
And I'm like, because he wanted him to feel part of getting into the final, because he thought the game was done and they were 2 goals ahead. There was no reason to bring in Fernandinho into that team at that moment in the game. Because what it did... They gave up any attempt at going forward and just said to Real Madrid, you have the ball, we're going to defend. Whereas City had the ball. Madrid didn't have the ball.
But
it was just nuts.
But how many games do you see? I know this was a very important game for them. But when you look across the Premiership, how many times do you see a manager saying, you know what, we're going to manage the game, the rest of this game. I'm going to put more defenders on there. We're going to defend. Yeah. When they're in total control, they're in total control. If they keep the same players on the pitch for till like the 89th minute and then make last minute substitutions, fair enough. But Pep obviously thought, we've got this. We've got this in the bag. I can put anybody on. We will still have this.
Cede ground, and you cede ground to Brighton or Wolves, and you're probably not going to get punished because they don't have people that are going to punish you up front. But you cede ground to a team like Real Madrid, who have got Modric, who have got Rodrigo, who have got Benzema, who have got, you know, all these players. I appreciate by then that a couple of them had gone off as well. Yeah. But they have players in their team that can score out of nothing. They've got the quality. So if they're near your penalty area, they're dangerous.
Yeah,
But for 75 minutes, 80 minutes, they were nowhere near Man City's penalty area. So why change it? You had control of the game. Get it done. I just don't get what it just makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense.
And he's got, and he has history. He has history because look at the final last year when he completely messed up the tactics against Chelsea and they lost 1-0. Right. He's got this annoying need to overthink everything. It's like you've got it under control, Pep. You don't need to do anything else. Stop trying to do something to make yourself look brilliant. Because most of the time when you do it, you end up looking stupid.
And that proves my point about him not being the greatest manager out there because he hasn't been tested. Yeah, he's gone to teams that have been the top teams in the leagues that he's played in. Yeah, and that just proves that some of the decisions he makes isn't what a top manager will do. In my view.
Let's not beat around the bush. I am not saying Pep's not a wonderful manager. He is a wonderful manager.
He's a good manager. I just don't think he's a great manager.
Listen, his teams play exceptional football. His Barcelona team, to some extent, Bayern Munich, but maybe not on the same level. But this Manchester City team are special. And I actually wanted them to win the Champions League because the way they play is special. And for the vast majority of the match, both legs, they were special. But just 5 minutes of madness and changing the whole dynamic of the game and just ceding ground to Real Madrid, which was completely unnecessary. I know it's instinctive that sometimes you want to do it and just fill your team with defensive midfield players and block teams out. But it wasn't necessary. You had control of the game. They weren't getting the ball. Yeah. I just don't understand why you would then decide when you're controlling the game to just say, actually, do you know what? We don't need the ball anymore. You have the ball. We'll just sit on the edge of our penalty area. Why?
Yeah, totally wrong. Anyway, great game. Obviously I'm a Madrid fan, so for me it was wonderful to see. But 89th minute, wow, the comeback is on. 2 goals from Rodrigo. And then who else but Benzema wins the penalty and scores the penalty.
He's been proving that throughout the whole Champions League in those games. He's been knocking in goals.
It's ridiculous that he scored 43 goals this season.
Exactly. And Andy, I agree with what you're saying.
Goals at his age. It's just, it's phenomenal.
Don't write him off, man. I mean, they were written off,
phenomenal. And do you know what is frightening? Is if Real Madrid do get Mbappe next season, Mbappe, Vinicius, and Benzema,
Rodrigo.
Wow.
Yeah, they've got the beginnings of a great team. Not a good team, but a great team.
Yeah, it's a never Galacticos, right?
Yep.
It was really funny actually when
they need to replace the midfield though. Modric and Cruz are slowing down. I mean, Modric is still wonderful.
Cruz, do you know? I didn't even. Sometimes I didn't.
World football than Luka Modric right now.
There isn't one.
There you go.
But Tony Cruz, though, I mean, to be honest, even though I was watching the game, I forgot he was there at times.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
he's the one that you think there's an upgrade due.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of thought.
Camavinga looks a great player when he's on. Yeah, he's come on. He's very sprightly. He's fast.
Who?
Camavinga.
He looks an excellent young player.
Yeah. So I mean, looks ominous if they do get Mbappe. Obviously Rudiger is heavily linked as well, which will shore up their back.
Tell you what, if they get Rudiger and Mbappe, maybe an extra midfielder from somewhere.
Yeah.
They will be a very, very good team next season.
For sure. Okay, so Neil's just taking a quick call. But yeah, I mean, it was such an entertaining game. Football is really just giving us all sorts at the moment, and I expect another classic on the weekend between yourselves and Liverpool. But let's go down the fixtures, and obviously, I'll do what I normally do. It'll be Neil, Andy, myself. Neil, Andy, myself.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Because the battery died in my headset, so I'm on the. Cool.
You're fine. So all 3 o'clock kickoff starting off. Brentford against Southampton. Brentford at home, Neil.
1-0 Brentford.
1-1.
I'm going to go 1-1. Burnley at home to Aston Villa. Battle of the Claret and Blues.
Ooh. 2-1 Burnley, purely because they are going to be tough to beat right now.
I'll go 1-0 Burnley.
2-1 Burnley. Chelsea at home to Wolves.
2-0 Chelsea.
1-0 Chelsea.
2-0 Chelsea. Crystal Palace at home to Watford.
2-1 Palace.
3-0 Palace.
3-1 Palace. Brighton at home to Man United.
2-1 United.
I'll say the same. 2-1 United.
I'm going to go with a 1-1.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that brings us on to Liverpool at home to Tottenham. Neil?
1-0 Liverpool. Low scoring game. I think it'll be a low scoring game.
2-1 Spurs.
Does that say no? Does that say no trophies on there underneath?
Oh.
Six years since you were above us in the league, mate.
But we won a trophy since then, haven't we? Oh, yeah. Hey, look, I've got more trophies than Spurs.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I'm going to go Liverpool 3-1.
Nice.
Okay, that takes us on to Sunday's games. Arsenal at home to Leeds.
2-0 Arsenal.
1-1.
I'm surprised you, Andy. 1-0 Arsenal. Leicester at home to Everton.
Ooh. 1-0 Everton.
You say Leicester at home to Everton?
Yeah.
Leicester got nothing to lose right now.
They'll be knackered as well.
1-1.
Yeah, I'll join you on that 1-1. Norwich at home to West Ham.
3-1 West Ham.
2-1 West Ham.
Got a feeling West Ham are struggling in this game because they played 10 men for a long time on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Quite
the
possible.
last game is Man City at home to Newcastle on Sunday.
Depends on which Newcastle turns up, to be honest. But I think that's going to be 3-1 City, unfortunately.
I think it could depend on what happens on Saturday night with Liverpool and Spurs. I think if Liverpool win, City win. But I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool were to slip up. I wouldn't be surprised if City slipped up as well to keep the title race alive.
No, they won't. They jump all over that. They jump. If Liverpool do slip up, they'll jump all over.
I'm going to go with normality and say 2-0 City.
Only 2-0.
I mentioned this earlier in the week, actually, when City were all over the place. I mean, they played so much football. Will it bite them in the butt this Sunday? They have a plethora of players to choose from, so you can see lots of players getting rested. But this is a banana skin for Man City. I'm going to go 2-2. I don't know why. I do know why, but someone just tells me Man City will not be flying like they normally do. And even if they do, even if they start off flying, the legs will kick in second half. And if Newcastle can keep it close. So, gentlemen, just over the hour. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Tony, are we going to say anything about next week?
Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday games.
Because before the podcast, we've also got a couple of juicy games.
Okay, let's go there. Tuesday night sees Aston Villa at home to Liverpool.
Yeah, that's gonna be 3-0 Liverpool.
I'll go 2-1 Liverpool.
I'll go 2-0 Liverpool. Wednesday night sees 4 fixtures. Leeds at home to Chelsea. This is where Leeds get...
I was going to say 4-0 Chelsea. I mean, everyone else is banging goals against them, so 4-0 Chelsea.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Leeds.
Really? Wow.
I'm gonna go 1-0 Chelsea. Things to be a tight game. Leeds, after losing to Arsenal, are going to be desperate to get a point. Leicester at home to Norwich.
That's a done deal. Leicester 2-0.
Yeah, I'll go the same. Actually, 2-0 Leicester.
And I'll join you on that one. 3-2-0s on that. Watford at home to Everton.
Everton 3-1.
Everton 1-0.
Watford 1, Everton 1.
Wow.
Yeah. Wolves at home to Man City.
2-1 City.
Mm, 1-0 City.
And then the big game. The big game.
I have to go on the Wolves City. I'm conflicted here. 3-0 Man City. And then the big game, as you said, Thursday night sees Tottenham at home to Arsenal.
Whoa. Do you know what? It depends on what happens in the games before. You guys are fighting. Because you're fighting for the same positions.
It doesn't really, Neil, because Spurs, whatever happens this weekend, Spurs have to win that game. So it doesn't really change anything.
Yeah. This is all about bragging rights, really, isn't it? Which I've got nothing to do with, because I'm always jealous when you guys are always arguing. Right. Sorry, Cox, but I see Kane and Ming, Son doing a number on you guys. Seriously, 2-1 Spurs. Sorry.
I think there's a little bit extra on this one, other than the Champions League, which is obviously the most important thing. But I think there is a feeling within Tottenham, and particularly Conte, is really aggrieved about the way Arsenal got that game called off earlier in the season, right, with their one COVID case, and I am certain that Conte will have them absolutely revved for this game, and I think we are going to destroy them. And I think it'll be 3 or 4-1 to Spurs on Thursday night.
Andy, do you know how ridiculous what you just said sounds? Literally, the only reason, boys,
I hope you're going to come back next Friday
against Arsenal is because they called this game off because they had one COVID case.
No, that's not what I said.
Rationale.
I said,
They
no,
had
that's not what I said.
Football. It's
They
the
had
most
two cases.
ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
I said that it will be an extra
It's
incentive.
got no incentive at all. It
Tony.
means nothing.
Tony, the result for you guys would only be great if Xhaka's not playing. If Xhaka's playing, you lot are going to lose because he'll get sent off.
Xhaka's been playing well of late.
No, but he
he's
gets
actually become quite integral to the way we play, especially if, as expected,
gets passionate
Thomas
though.
Partey isn't playing.
He
There
gets
is
very
a chance
passionate at
Thomas
times.
Partey could be back. Very small chance, but there is a chance.
I seem to remember last year you brought Thomas Partey back, and he lasted about 15 minutes.
Yeah, disastrously, and it could be the same again, but it could be a gamble worth having.
It will be a gamble that he will take if there's any chance of getting Partey on the pitch. Yeah. He will take the gamble.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a good game, though. It will be a good game.
I'm gonna take a 1-1.
Game of the week. Seriously, to me, I think that would be the game of the week, man. Definitely.
Make sure you're here next Friday, Tony. No hiding.
So yeah, we've now completed it. So guys, thank you very much for your time this evening.
No, I've come down with a cough. I can't be on screen next Friday.
Oh dear. Have a good weekend, guys.
Yeah. Have a good one,
fellas.
Enjoy the football.
See you later.
Bye.
Cool.